Hey, what's up? Dishcloth in the shot is not appreciated. Oh, look, a corpse. Alright, so last week I had made Bumbleina, which was a hyper-realistic bumblebee custom, and your girl is a little bit addicted, I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know if I mentioned in that video, but I immediately, for some reason, wanted to make a realistic Ladybug. I have one Ladybug base, it's this one. We're gonna call her Ladybugaboo. I don't know, I got all excited about doing bugs, so think of it as like a entomology theme for this channel. So today, all we're gonna do in this Ladybug is just try to make her look more fine art and realistic. But before we get started on the Ladybug, I do want to thank today's sponsor, Littlest Pet Shop. As always, many of my videos are made in collaboration with Littlest Pet Shop as part of their brand ambassador program. Today we're going to be unboxing Gen 7 Wave 3 Blind Box Pet Pair Packs. That is a mouthful. I did open the first blind box pack off camera featuring the Cocker Spaniel and this kitten. This is because I wanted to use one of these characters as part of my collaboration post over on Instagram on the LPS account. Anyway, as usual, enjoy some LPS unboxing ASMR. We have a cow in this very beloved collie mold. Now, I don't know why I didn't even notice, but this set also comes with a ladybug, so it's totally on theme. Make sure to support this incredible toy brand through Amazon, Target, Walmart, or the Littlest Pet Shop website, which I will link down below. As always, huge thank you to Littlest Pet Shop for sponsoring these videos and sending the packages for me to unbox. And with that all being said, let's get back to the video. Like the start of any project, I like to look at reference photos. It's always especially interesting to do with animals that I see every day, but I've never really stopped to kind of think about like the anatomy of a ladybug. I could describe to you their colors and features, but taking a second to stop and actually look and observe how their bodies are structured, it's always interesting and you learn something new every time. Anyway, the poor victims of my art projects always usually start off getting all their limbs removed, and Ladybugaboo is no exception to this. I will salvage a few of these body pieces, so I am putting them to the side. Stepping into this project, I knew I wanted to make an environment for my ladybug to stand on, much like the bee. It's not common practice in the LPS customizing community to make stands for your artwork, but I always think it adds just such a unique presentation. It's something I'm not going to do every time, but when I feel like it and I've got an idea, I'm going to go for it. It also happens to be a very convenient way for me to use up scraps of polymer clay. I have a lot of random scrap clay in my desk that I just don't know what to use it for, and these little stand projects are the perfect way. Again, I'm going to use an acrylic dowel to create a hovering effect for the ladybug, but we'll come back to that. Now that Ladybugaboo has been stripped of her appendages, it's time to add some of my own. Since insect legs are kind of very protruding but thin, they're very delicate to sculpt, so an armature is pretty much a necessity. I'm using jewelry wire here because it's very easily bendable. It's much more forgiving for smaller adjustments, so I can kind of bend it to match the anatomical accuracy a lot easier. Since her body is quite deformed after all of our chopping, I'm going ahead and adding on a more shell-like bug layer. This is where I'm using Epoxy Sculpt, which is a 2-part solution. This stuff has been my go-to recently because it does harden pretty much as strong as a rock, so there's no breaking it. I'm adding it to the back of the discarded wings as well to attach some jewelry wire again because I do have a plan for these. So when there's a lot going on in a custom kind of like this, with pieces sticking out and clay sculpted on and other pieces cut off, It helps a lot for my brain to just paint on an opaque color and just keep it all monochrome. Since ladybugs themselves are very dark anyway, and I was going to paint this custom black regardless, I decided to go ahead and paint a base coat. This will just help me visualize better as I'm sculpting the legs and make sure they look accurate to what I want the final piece to look like. With the wire in place, I can go ahead and start on the wonky legs. Sculpting insect legs is something I didn't really expect to be as much fun as it is, but it's such a weird shape. I definitely recommend you try it out. It's a little bit of a challenge, but really enjoyable. I'm just trying to keep 3 distinct sections on the legs, making them kind of look like joints, so it does give the illusion that these individual sections can bend like real legs. A quick paint of black solidifies the new sculpting with the original base and really helps bring the whole thing together. With the stand all cured, it's time to add a little bit of foliage detail. To save a little time, I busted out these leaf molds and kind of just scattered a few like they drifted off a tree and landed on the ground. I don't have to worry too much about painting apart from the protruding leaves we just added. The ground itself, I do have a technique that we're going to go over later, so for now I'm just trying to make the leaves look as interesting as possible. I love painting things with this much texture. You can go back over with dry brushing and natural colors and just really bring out every little detail and crevice. Something I didn't really realize as I was making these projects and my recent attraction to making stands for my custom is I guess I just genuinely really like making miniature worlds, miniature environments, I guess. I already make a lot of miniatures for film projects, Littlest Pet Shop film in specifics. Usually on larger scale sets, I have to cut corners and take artistic liberties to kind of get a miniature effect, but not spend as much time as it would take for me doing like a 2-inch piece like this. It's fun to have the opportunity to pour all my love into a small section of an environment. I particularly love how the little stems of the leaves were drawn back out with this lighter color. It's so easy and it creates such a realistic effect. With the paint already out, it's time to add a little bit of color to our ladybug. Now, ladybugs do appear red, and that's what probably most people think when they look at them, but their actual body doesn't really have a lot of red on it. Most of it comes from their wings, which are folded on their backs. So studying kind of how they are built, I just tried to create a thin red stripe along its side. And inversely, I wasn't expecting ladybugs to have as much white on them either. I just tried to incorporate the little white ladybug spots on their face and body as accurately as I could, while keeping in mind the unique proportions of an LPS. The original LPS wings are actually very cutely sculpted, and it felt like such a waste to discard them, so I am going back in and painting them. But the thing I didn't like about the wings on the original Ladybug base is that they were kind of secured tightly to the body, like they were hugging the frame. That is how most ladybugs look in resting, but I have this really distinct vision of this custom just like looking like it's almost in flight. So my plan is to have these wings kind of protruding out. Having the already sculpted little features on these wings was very enjoyable to paint, particularly the little ladybug spots. And as always, to make sure your work stays protected, I recommend sealing paint in a layer of Mod Podge. This also helped attach the acrylic dowel. And now to really bring this scenescape to life, I am going back in with a whole lot more Mod Podge because we're going to be grassing this one. And this is something I had first attempted last time in Bumbleina, creating a grassy stand. It simplifies down to a static technique using this little device. All this does is help these small grass microfibers stand straight up, making a very realistic looking patch of greenery. This stuff is such a game changer and I love experimenting with it. I think it was about $25 to $35 on Amazon. If you love miniatures like I do, it's definitely worth the small investment. I find for these more realistic customs, less is more for the eyes, so I like to keep them very simple. I'm filling them in with a very dark brown and going back with small highlighted colors. Now this looks like I'm painting white paint on top of white paint, which is not actually what's happening. I am painting on Mod Podge again, because this time I am stepping back into flocking. I've only ever flocked one solid color, which was black, but this time I'm going to attempt to flock the white bits white and the black bits black. Again, in general, flocking is a new medium for me, and combining two different colors of flocking is a more advanced technique that I've never tried before. So we are stepping back into some more experimenting territory in here. And I will say one good thing about flocking I've noticed with LPS is since I am working off such a small figurine, this bag of black flocking, the white flocking I bought, it's gonna last me years, I can already tell. So little of it is put on the actual base itself that this flocking is going to last me pretty much forever. So I think even if I just invest in one color for like every project, like, oh, I want to do white, black, and brown next time, it kind of helps to break up the supplies cost while still allowing me to use new materials. Each bag of flocking costs about $10 to $20, so it's a little bit of a chunk of money, but I'm finding flocking addicting. Like I just want to keep working with it. It's so cool. But again, I am such a novice and it looks like a mess. If you see me doing anything wrong or you have any corrections or suggestions, I am like on my knees, like I would love to hear what you think. I find it very difficult to research flocking for miniature figurines like this because I can't really honestly find that much information. Not a lot of people are using flocking in this way, so I could really use some advice perfecting my technique. My technique being slopping it on. Either way, I don't think there's an elegant way to place flocking on, so I kind of just smushed on this whole mess and set it aside to dry, hoping it's gonna turn out good. While that sits for a while, I turn back to the wings. So interestingly enough, if you've seen a ladybug fly, they do have an underwing, and it is like a clear, translucent exoskeleton. And this is something I love to make because it allows me to use this discarded recyclable plastic that you can kind of pick off toy packaging or food packaging, and I'm using a brown micron liner to pencil in the details. I use resin to seal the project and give it a realistic finish. So this gives you an idea how the wings will lay under the large sculpted wings. And now it's just a matter of attaching all the pieces together. As a final touch, I am covering the wings in a glossy shine. And with that, the project is done. The completion of this Ladybug custom marks both the end of this project and my second time ever trying flocking. I love the custom, don't get me wrong. It does fit my vision, and I really had like a distinct vision for what I wanted this to look like. I'm just kicking myself a little bit because at the very end here, putting in the white flocking, I can just kind of tell that some of the black flocking bled through. I guess more intermingled. The fibers of the flocking are so fine that it's kind of impossible to keep it from getting on everything. And I don't think I could have picked a more challenging combination of black and white in terms of contrast. So it does look pretty good on camera, but if you look pretty close, you can kind of see that the white is not completely opaquely white. It kind of almost looks gray at certain points just because it's all gotten mixed together, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it still looks cute. Don't get me wrong, like I love it. I love how the wings turned out, especially. Ugh. Adding a little shine to the wings at the end was definitely a good idea. It makes them feel like a shell, like a hard shell. She's gonna look so cute on her little display, just on someone's shelf. Ugh. But I would be so interested to know if you guys have any tips on flocking that I can improve. I would love to get better at flocking. I don't know if it's the glue I'm using, and especially like if I'm doing multiple colors, how like mixing it works, because I am planning on doing another flocking custom with this cat. This is my best friend's cat. Her name's Boo, the cat, not my friend. This is Natalie's cat, if you guys know Natalie. Of course you should know who Natalie is. This is her cat, and I want to do flocking on Natalie's cat, but I want it to be perfect. Like I don't want it to mix. So if you guys have any suggestions on how I could improve this technique, I'm all open, all ears. I'm gonna do more research. So as I learn, I can also kind of teach you guys as well. I just have to remind myself, like when you try like new things, like new territory, new art supplies, there is a bit of a learning curve. Yeah, so I still love it, but yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that got a little bit mixed up at the end. Right at the end of the project, you know. Oh, Miss Beth, you've got a hair on you. Is that an eyelash? Anyway, hopefully that's not too much of a bummer. I just wanted to share my thoughts on how I feel like I could improve as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy the process. I hope you love Madam Bugaboo. Well, with that all being said, stay cool, stay geeky, stay crafty, and be happy, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye!